Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be practicing my night shooting. Okay, so it's obviously it's not night now, but I wanted to start this now so that you guys can see what I'm doing and I can talk to you guys, and then when it gets dark later on I'll also do some more shooting. Okay, so first thing is I'm practicing with my everyday carry gun, right? Because a lot of times people don't practice with their everyday carry gun, they practice with their favorite gun. So my everyday carry is a Glock 43. And if you notice, there's no light on this, okay? And there's a reason for that, because I did have a light on this gun for about 6 months. And what I found is that it made the holster, because it had to be a light bearing holster, it made the holster bigger, and it just was a little bit less comfortable, which by itself would be okay. But then what I also noticed is with the lights that mount onto these small pistols, the light buttons extend past the guard, and especially if I'm wearing a glove and I would try to get my finger in there, my finger would sometimes get caught up, or the glove would get caught up on the light button. Okay, so it would actually slow me down more. And then when I thought about it some more, it's like, wait a second, like in all cases, you're almost always going to start off with your handheld light. Okay, you're always going to start off with that. And the way it works is, first of all, in like 99.999% of the cases, that's where it's going to stay with your handheld light. Okay, it's never going to escalate past that. Okay, but in that 0.001% chance that it might go to, where it might go to gun because deadly force is required, you're not going to go from this light to the light on your gun, okay, to the trigger. Okay, you're always going to go from this light to the trigger. You're going to cut out that middle step. Okay, so that's the practicality of it. And the reality is, essentially, this is the technique that I practice, right? Holding the gun like this. I don't know what the name of this technique is. Now, essentially, you are shooting one-handed, right? This is one-handed shooting, but with a little extra support over here, okay? So you got to practice that, okay? So before you even get to doing live fire, like this, right? Before you even get to that, and you got to practice in and out of the holster. Come out. Before you practice that, just get proficient shooting one-handed, okay? Put the light away. Put it back in my pocket, okay? Just, just practice shooting. Get good at shooting one-handed. Coming out. Getting back in the holster. Now, getting back in the holster is really important, right? Because in the self-defense situation, you don't want anybody to come onto the scene, okay, and basically see you standing over somebody that's bleeding, holding a gun. Okay, so you have to practice the reholstering. Even if you got a jacket like this on, you got to practice getting back into the holster. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about I want to give you guys a tip for one-handed shooting. Okay, let me just pause the camera for a second. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to talk to you guys about the technique that I use for one-handed shooting, because I'm going to take my gloves off for a second, even though it's cold here. I need you guys to be able to see what's going on with my hands. When I pull the gun out, right, as I hold the gun like this, right, this is the weakest point in my grip, okay? The gun is trying to come out of this hole over here, okay? So normally, if you just shoot this gun, right, if you watch, stand over my shoulder, when I shoot this, watch how the gun moves after I fire. Right. Now, in that case, it didn't move so much because I'm offsetting. This time I'm going to try not to offset. It's just something I practice so many times I do naturally. I'm going to try and hold the gun a little bit more loosely so I don't offset. Let's try this again. So that time you saw it. The gun went like that. Okay. All right. So if I'm right-handed and I'm shooting, okay, the gun is naturally gonna, when it recoils, it's gonna go like that in my right hand because it's trying to come out of this hole here. If I'm left-handed, right, the gun again is trying to come out of this hole, so it's gonna go that way. Okay, here, I'll do it this side, right? Again, I'm gonna try and hold this gun loosely. Let me see where I can stand so you guys can see me, okay? You should see me from there. You're gonna notice that the gun's gonna try to move to that side there. Okay. So you saw how it went up that way, okay? So that's what the gun naturally wants to do. So when I shoot one-handed, okay, what I do is, since I know which way the gun wants to kick, what I'll do is I use this finger here to control the offset. So when I shoot one-handed, if you guys look at my finger here, I basically pull the gun in as I squeeze the trigger from right-handed towards the right. And what that does is that offsets the natural kick. The gun wanting to go this way, I'm pulling my finger, I'll do it this way, I'm driving the gun left and right with my trigger pull, like that, okay? So that's what allows me to hold this gun one-handed, right? You know what I'm talking about? I'm able to put shots on target because I'm countering that kick to the left, if I'm right-handed, with a pull to the right with my trigger finger, okay? So that's the technique that I use when I shoot one-handed. And this is a technique that I have to practice, because if I go too long without practicing this one-handed shooting technique, a lot of times I'll forget to do it, and then a lot of times when I take that first shot, the gun kicks in the wrong direction, it pulls me off target, and I miss shots. So it's one of those things that I have to practice in order to remember that when shooting one-handed, I'm offsetting I'm offsetting the recoil that I expect where the gun is trying to come out of the weakest point in my grip, okay? So now that's something I practice with my light, okay? So again, back in the holster, and you gotta do the holster drills. This is something that you just gotta do repetitions. If you go some time without doing these repetitions, you forget, okay? Muscle memory will only get you so far. I mean, I shoot almost every day, and I remind you, I do like tons of different exercises. So, like, I haven't done this one-handed shooting technique in a couple of weeks now, right? So if I go a few more weeks, I can forget this too, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, what am I missing? Oh shit, I'm forgetting to offset the recoil, okay? So I got my light here, come out of the holster, cross my hands to steady the gun, okay, and I take my shot, okay? So the main thing today is that be realistic in terms of, if you got a light on the gun, be realistic in the sense that you're not gonna probably use it as much as you think you are. Okay? And I'm not saying don't have it, especially like for your home defense guns. Yeah, sure, they should all have lights on them, right? Your primary rifle, your backup pistol, especially if it's a gun that doesn't leave the house, your backup, if that backup pistol basically stays with that rifle, yeah, definitely have a light on it, okay? Because you're not carrying it around every day. For everyday carry, I carry the lightest, smallest gun that I can get away with, right? Because, I live in a very low-risk area, okay? I don't expect to have problems. So it doesn't make sense for me to carry a bigger gun, okay? So this gun, in my opinion, is adequate for my location, my situation, places where I go, the level of risk that I'm likely to encounter, okay? For like close to 100% of the time, right, I'm going to be using this, okay? Maybe once in my life, I might have to use this with a gun, okay? Maybe that might happen. Not likely, but maybe. And if it does happen, it will most likely be against an animal, right? Because I live in the woods, basically. So it's more likely I would have to light gun on an animal if I ever have to use a gun for self-defense. But again, even in that situation, I identify the threat with the light, right? Right? Oh shit, that's something dangerous. It's made eye contact with me. It's moving in my direction. When I go to my gun, I am not going to be fumbling looking for that light, right? From here, I'm going to get on target, start blasting, right? Get the light on the target. I already got the light in my hand, right? It's already lit, right? Get the gun out, get on target, start blasting. It's most likely going to be at very close range, right? Inside of 10 yards. I mean, you can make those shots one-handed, right? Because again, this is one-handed. It's basically supported one-handed. You can make those shots in self-defense distance, okay? You just got to practice with it. Okay, so let me know what you guys think. Drop some comments below. I'll talk to y'all soon. Hey, since we're on the topic of self-defense, I want to give you guys this promo code for a prepaid legal service. Okay, it's called US Lawshield. Okay, it's only $11 per month, right? $10.95. Okay, and your promo code is Pocono Shooting, and depending on your state, that can either knock like $20 off. It can give you 1 free month or 2 free months. So that's on a state by state thing. Okay, so it's really cheap, only $11 per month. It really doesn't make any sense not to have a prepaid lawyer, because the first thing, if you're ever in a self-defense situation, you don't want to get into a discussion with the police. Okay, it is 100% legal for the police to lie to you, and there's no limit. Okay, they can say that they have 10 witnesses that said you started the whole thing. They can say they got you on video cameras, and they will say that. That's part of their standard procedure. They're gonna say, hey, listen, fess up, because we already know what happened. We got you on video. We got you on the, we got you on video. We got witnesses. So just tell us that you started this whole thing. It's your own fault, and we'll talk to the judge, and he's going to try. We'll try to get him to go light on you. That's standard, okay? Standard. Or they're going to tell you that you're not in any trouble, that they're there to help you, okay? These are standard interrogation techniques, okay? They're going to try to make you comfortable so that you will talk to them, and then they'll try to run you in circles so that you start giving conflicting information, okay? And they might ask you something like completely weird, right? They might ask you if you're having an affair with some woman right in front of your wife, in which case, whether you are or you're not, you're going to probably say no. And later on, they can prove, if they're able to prove that you lied, now your entire credibility is in question, right? Because you lied just so that, you lied for a completely unrelated reason, right? So that you wouldn't embarrass yourself, but then they're going to use that to bring into question your integrity or your honesty, okay? So that's why you do not talk to the police. Now, you do have to establish that you're the victim, right? You do have to establish that you're the victim. The things that you are concerned with is, first, get the gun back in the holster as fast as possible, right? Because people coming onto the scene don't know who you are, okay? Next, you want to basically preserve the evidence. Make sure that nobody walks away with the gun or with the knife, So, or if it is moved, maybe by EMS, that has to be reported to police, right? EMS came by, they moved the weapon out of the way. Or the wind blew your shell cases out of the way, right? Because the shell cases are an indication of the proximity between the two people. So that you do have to report to the police right then and there, okay? So you want to preserve the evidence. You want to point out witnesses. Say, hey, I can't talk to you without talking to a lawyer, but those people over there, they were there. They can help you out, okay? If they, invoke your Fifth Amendment right, make it clear that, hey, you want to cooperate, right? You're trying to be, you want to be polite, you want to be courteous, you want to cooperate, but you need to do it with your attorney, okay? Now, the last thing you want to be doing is, like, in a situation like that, trying to find an attorney, right? Because they're all going to charge you like $2,000 up front just to hear your case, okay? So you want to have a prepaid lawyer on hand, ready to go, on your phone, okay? Or better, or also make your wife or your mother aware of this, because if you do get arrested, they're going to take away your cell phone. You're going to get one call. You have to be able to call up your wife or your mother and say, hey, in my drawer, there's this card with my lawyer's phone number. There's an emergency number that they give you. Contact them. This is my account number, and tell them I'm in trouble. I'm at the police station, and I need them right away, okay? So, and then keep your mouth shut. Don't just invoke your Fifth Amendment right and then start yapping to the police. Tell them that you invoke your Fifth Amendment right, and then, in fact, shut up, okay? So, again, the one I use is US Lawshield. And the reason why I use them is because they're cheap. They're only $11 a month, okay? And then with the promo code there, you get some sort of freebie. The promo code is Pocono Shooting. Hey, everyone. We're going to be practicing what I talked about earlier. So, we got the light on, okay? We're going to assume that we're having a discussion, right? So I've identified somebody. We're talking, why you on my property? You gotta leave. Unlike a tactical situation where, like, you put the light on, you shoot, you turn the light off, you move. I'm practicing more of like a realistic self-defense type of situation, where you put the light on, you're scanning the area, and you're going to keep the light on, okay, because you need to see what this person's doing. The assumption is that you're not going to need to go to your gun. The assumption is that, they're going to leave, okay, if they're, or they're going to stop. They're not going to assault you. So that's what the assumption is normally going to be. So we have to be working within that reality. Okay. Now, however, in this exercise, we're going to be practicing a self-defense type of shooting exercise where deadly force is needed. Now, like I said earlier, we're practicing essentially shooting one-handed, right? Where you're shooting one-handed and it's kind of supporting it with the other. Okay. Now, the other thing to be aware of is that my light is nuclear bright. Basically, it's sunny day brightness, because that's how I need to keep it in the daylight so I can see if I'm shooting in the rising or in a setting sun, which is going to overwhelm the target. But if at close distance, that's not an issue, okay? Because let's get into, especially at night, I mean, the distance that you would most likely be in is something like this, right? And probably a lot closer, but for the purpose of here, I don't want I don't want the fragmentation coming back at me, so we're going to maintain a little bit distance. So, realistic situation. Hey, what's going on? What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. What's in your hands? Put it down. Stop. Stop doing what you're doing. So that's how you want to practice the exercise, with, include some discussion. What would you be saying? Now, you can also use the light tactfully, right? Because the light can be very blinding. Now, that can also escalate the situation unnecessarily. So you generally want to keep the light down. And then if you need to back somebody off, you put it in their eyes, they'll back them off. But yeah, if you just keep the light in somebody's face, that might escalate the situation. So you got to be careful how you use the light. Essentially use it wisely. Okay, let's do this again. Yo, what's going on here, man? Why are you on my property? You're not supposed to be here. You need to leave. Go, keep your hands where I can see them and just leave. Stop what you do. Don't come near me. Stop. And then I would turn, depending on the situation, I might want to turn off the light and move, okay? So, you got to kind of figure out what type of situation is. Earlier, I kept the light on. Here, took the light off. Okay, let's do this one more time. Yo, why are you here, man? Stop. Listen, back off, man. You gotta leave. You can't be here. Put that down. Stop. I don't want a problem. Stop. Get back. So, if you saw there, I intentionally paused for a second. Maybe because they had a knife and I thought that they had stuttered. Now, here's the thing, really important. When the gun comes out of the holster, it comes out to be used. So you cannot take the gun out of the holster until you reach the point where deadly force is justified, okay? So once that gun comes out of the holster, just at that point, it's justified. But within that, I mean, if you see the guy turning around, moving back, you can always pull the brakes, all right? So just be aware of that. I mean, we don't use guns to issue warnings. I've done a separate video on that. The law only protects you if you have to use a gun to protect your life or somebody else's, to prevent rape, to prevent kidnapping, or prevent serious bodily harm. The law does not give you any protection for warnings, okay? So if you use the gun to issue some type of a warning, all right, to scare somebody away, they can turn that around on you and say that you were threatening them, okay? Now, obviously here, I'm drilling a situation where it's on my own property, so I have an additional level of protection. But again, I gave you guys a link to a prepaid legal service. These are the type of things that you want to discuss with your prepaid legal service. Now, the one that I gave you guys, US Lawshield, it's not just to use them if you're actually in the self-defense type of situation. You can also use them to ask questions, right? You can ask them questions like this, like, at what point is deadly force justified, right? But you can also ask them questions about, this is my everyday carry. These are my home defense guns. In my state, I mean, is it okay to use these guns, okay? Because you might be in a state where, let's say, you're limited to 10 rounds, right? So obviously, you want to make sure that that's what you're using, okay? So you can ask them those, or if you're traveling, you can ask that prepaid legal service for if you're traveling. They can give you an itinerary. Tell you what states you can carry through. They'll tell you what states that you have to unload, or they'll also tell you what states to avoid completely. Okay, so for $11 a month, I definitely recommend a prepaid legal service. Okay, so drop some comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll talk to you all soon.